I started making money with video editing in March of 2021, so I have 3 years of experience. It's not a lot, but it has been my obsession ever since. And I feel that I've learned a lot about how editors should be treated and what should be expected of them. And I believe that if I act that way with editors while building my video editing agency, we will create the best videos possible in the least amount of time possible, putting the agency above the competition, and therefore gaining market share, aka success. And the reason why I want to train editors and not try to hire the best is because I truly want to build an exceptional video editing agency. But right now I'm a beginner at this. I only have experience as a freelancer. Building a business is a completely different thing. So it's only fair that I work with beginner editors and beginner clients to help each other grow one step at a time. And my goal for the beginning of this video editing agency is to train beginner editors to an industry standard level in a relatively short amount of time. I'm aiming for around 2 months, which allows them to make basic edits efficiently, do minor motion graphics, and have an understanding of how to tell a story efficiently. That doesn't mean fast edits for the algorithm, it just means to not waste the viewer's time. And also powerfully, leaning on authenticity and facts rather than preaching and faking it into making it. The problem is that I've never trained anyone or taught to a full extent anything to anyone. But I did one time hire a great editor for an ex-client of mine. And the method I used to sort through the list of candidates was to give a real-world test that I previously edited myself for the client itself. The tricky thing about the edit was that, in my opinion, the best way to go about it was to reorder it chronologically for it to make more sense and edit it down to at most 15 minutes. And this, by the way, was a recording of a conversation that was 30 minutes long. Out of 15 editors, give or take, no one reordered the video chronologically, but only one had the guts to cut the entire thing in the middle that was messing the whole video up. And not only that, he cut the video down to 9 minutes, which was 3 minutes less than my edit, and it was perfect. No crucial information was missing. It was a no-brainer hire, and he did awesome from day one. I managed him for months until I stopped working for the client, and we all had a great working relationship. He's still working for the client till this day, and he's doing a great job. And as for myself, I left that job with a lot of confidence regarding hiring and managing video editors, because I believe I'm very transparent and communicative, and the editor told me multiple times how great he felt to be managed by someone who understands him and the struggles of video editing. But as I said, in terms of training and teaching someone, I never really done that, so the only thing I can lean on is how I learned video editing myself. My first phase of learning was through tutorials on YouTube. The only YouTuber I remember was Justin Adisho, but then it was mostly random tutorials based on what I wanted to create at the time. My second phase happened when I decided to try video editing for a living. That's when I started to do courses on Skillshare, which expedited my learning and made me understand the power of courses. Not because they have secret formulas, but because they are very convenient. Luckily on Skillshare there are very good ones, and the subscription is not expensive at all. My third and current phase was to purchase better and more specific courses from agencies or specific people, which is an upgrade from Skillshare. Not by a lot, but enough for it to be way more expensive. I did Ben Marriott's course Master Motion Design, then Frame by Frame Ninja from Motion Design School, and I also purchased Blender and After Effects from them as well, but I haven't started it yet, which I will once I start making money with the agency and I can lower the time I allocate to my freelance work. But I consolidated everything I learned through the client work I've been doing all of these years. That's why I think the most important part of learning is to work for someone as soon as possible and learn on the field. That's why the way I will train editors is to try to emulate how I learned myself, but focusing on what had the biggest impact, which is learning on the field. It's also important to mention that the sole purpose of this first version of my training system is to just train one editor, in order to then subcontract the first client of the agency. Now that I'm saying that out loud, I don't think the subcontract terminology is right. It's just to fulfill the client. But yeah, let's leave it at that for now. I'll correct it moving forward. After that process is completed, I would update the system or redo it altogether based on that first experience. So without any further ado, here's how I'll train my first editor. The first step will be basic training on Skillshare for video editing and motion graphics. Shorty Vanderput's beginner and advanced courses seem good enough. For step 2, I'll assess the skills acquired by giving simple client work from the freelance work that I have to do myself. A real-world test, allowing me to compare toe-to-toe quality and speed of editing. In step 3, once I get a client, I will be doing the job and the editor will be doing it as well, but as training. Once the gap between what I create and what the editor creates is small enough, we split the video work in half until the editor feels comfortable enough to take the entire workload. Once the first client is 100% delegated, this training system will have satisfied its purpose and I will have to iterate on it. I don't want to get too far ahead because I first have to get a client and successfully delegate it, which is an immense feat. But the next step will be for me to develop a basic training course where I focus on what I believe great storytelling and video editing is to complement the Skillshare courses. And maybe immediately after that, I'll make my own full course on video editing with a thoughtful and challenging project at the end to skip step 2 and jump right into making real-world edits for a client that actually needs it. And that's my training system. Now I have just some final thoughts about everything in general that I believe will add some important details to this particular newsletter and all the ones coming forward. This process of writing is really helpful. It allows me to find some important details on how I could do things moving forward that I believe will make my life and pursuing my goal easier. But I also feel that most times I get to really obvious conclusions that I already had in mind, and it makes me wonder if it is a waste of time. But I don't think so. Because if after a very deliberate amount of time and effort, I reach the conclusion that was already wandering around my head, then that means that there are no other details that I should be worrying about. And I can focus on taking ruthless action without fear of not knowing something. I want to do things without wondering if it could be a little bit better or a little bit differently. So that's why I believe it's helpful for me to write even if I conclude very obvious things. So that's it for this week's newsletter. There's a lot of action that I need to take in the coming weeks because basically now it starts the looking for clients. Next week it will be about that, how I'll be looking for clients, the way I will do it, which is cold approach through personalized videos. That's something that I already tested with one creator that I'll expand on that on the next week's newsletter. I made a personalized video for Tom Nask, which got a response from him, but then I wasn't able to sell what I wanted to sell. But the fact that I got his attention was a huge win in my opinion. And then I'll basically emulate that for smaller creators and smaller brands that I have an immense confidence that it will work. So I'll be able to get clients, but then it's gonna be, like I said, an immense feat to delegate that successfully and maintain that over time and keep getting clients and keep getting editors. It's like now the true journey begins, in my opinion, where there's only action and action and action. So yeah, hopefully you stay tuned for that. There's not many people watching the videos, but I feel that's important to say because, I mean, if there's a handful of people watching, that's still people watching. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this, you believe in my journey through following it on social media and everything and the newsletter. But again, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it.